a special edition of WeatherScope with the latest on the coastal storm threatening New England.
It's springtime, or it's supposed to be springtime, but if you ask the folks that live in the east, they know it's not, especially in the northeast and New England, where here it is Easter Sunday, and we're watching more snow coming down. And believe it or not, another storm is expected Monday, Tuesday, on into Wednesday with more snow for folks in the east. Good evening, I'm Terry Smith. As we're checking in on the latest as this low-pressure system continues to work its way up the coast, let's show you the satellite picture. And what we're showing to you are color-enhanced clouds, and basically that helps to show us where the more moisture-laden clouds are located. And anything here in the blue, that's where we're finding a fair amount of the moisture. Things have been drying up somewhat now. Northwesterly winds moving on into parts of western New York and also into Pennsylvania, but earlier some snowfall for central areas of Pennsylvania. Now, as we check out the latest surface situation, we have a low-pressure system that is sitting off the coast of New England. We're getting that onshore flow, bringing in plenty of Atlantic moisture. We have some cold air in place already, and now that we've lost the heating of the day, we're beginning to see our temperatures, even at the surface, beginning to cool off a little bit. And so we're finding generally a rain-snow mixture from around the Boston area down toward New York City and also northern areas of New Jersey. But a steady snowfall has been falling for the most part northern Jersey on northward, upstate New York, much of Massachusetts, even on into Connecticut. We've been watching some fairly consistent snows this afternoon and now into the evening hours. And our latest temperatures showing that, again, generally at the surface, right along the immediate coast, it's still fairly mild. 36 being reported last hour in Boston. Now we're down to 33 degrees, 37 New York City, 37 Philadelphia. So the good news is, while it has been snowing in these areas to some extent, for the most part we're not seeing any road problems right now, but we'll have to continue to monitor that throughout the night as our temperatures continue to drop. Latest radar showing the fact that we are seeing some light snow on into upstate New York, near the Albany area. Also, White Plains has been reporting some light snow on into southern areas of Vermont and New Hampshire. We've been getting some reports of light snow on into western sections of Massachusetts. The snowfall has been coming down a little heavier. What we have right now is a rain-snow mixture in New York City, Long Island, around Farmingdale, however, and Islip in Suffolk County, around West Hampton. There's been a steady snow now for the past couple of hours. Hartford, you've been seeing some steady snow. Providence, a little rain-snow mix for you. And just to the northwest of Boston, up in the Tewksbury area, right about there, that's where we have our own Jeff Morrow. We'll be going to him in just a minute. But right now around the Boston, Massachusetts area, Bedford's been reporting some rain and snow mix. So generally a rain-snow mixture throughout southern areas of New England. Again, as our temperatures continue to cool, we'll see that changing on over. Some of the heavier snows in eastern sections of upstate New York on into Maine. We do have snow advisories out tonight for the Boston area, winter storm warnings in Hartford. New York City, just 1 to 3 inches of snow shouldn't create too much of a problem for you. But again, a lot of the snowfall is going to start accumulating late tonight, not into the day tomorrow. And finally, the other element of this storm is the coastal flooding that could occur on the east slopes of Massachusetts and also around Martha's Vineyard. Here, that low-pressure system generating 25 to 35-mile-an-hour winds and a very strong onshore flow could result in tides running anywhere from 1 to 3 feet higher than normal, and so we'll have to watch that. So that's pretty much what's happening in a nutshell, but nobody has a better idea of what's actually happening there than our own Jeff Morrow. And Jeff, how are things there presently?
It's snowing, Terry, and that's no great surprise. Earlier in the day, we had rain and sleet and snow all mixed together from time to time, but there's no doubt that it's all just a wet snow falling now. And as you mentioned, the temperature has been dropping. In the Boston area, it's dropping here as well. We're going to pan down and show you a little bit of the snow on the ground there, and not much of an accumulation so far, but it is starting to stick. The sun, of course, having gone down several hours ago, and we've lost that heating of the day, and things are starting to cool off on the ground, and I suspect on the roadways eventually. Speaking of the roadways, back here is Interstate 495. Road travel not being hampered at all by this wet snow. The roadways are mainly wet, and it doesn't look like there'll be many problems there until maybe a little bit later on tonight when the snow really starts to come down.
And Jeff, it does look like conditions
is a special edition of WeatherScope with the latest on the coastal storm threatening New England.
Well, here it is Easter Sunday, the holiday weekend winding down. A lot of folks trying to get back home from Grandma's. And if they live in the Northeast or in New England, well, Mother Nature might be making things a little bit difficult for you. Good evening, I'm Terry Smith here in the Forecast Center as we continue to watch what seems to be a never-ending winter for folks in the East. Let's go ahead and show you a satellite picture and kind of give you some details of what we're talking about. What we have here is an area of low pressure that is sitting off the coast of New England, and it has been providing a lot of moisture. You can see all these clouds here, the blues and the yellows indicating fairly well moistened clouds, very moist clouds, and the upper level winds have been steering these clouds generally off toward the north and east. Earlier we'd had some snow back here in western New York and western Pennsylvania. A lot of that has since cleared out now with the northwesterly winds. But areas like upstate New York, New England, now under the watch as the low pressure area continues to intensify and throw in rain and snow. Now, interior areas of upstate New York, Utica, Albany have been reporting snow much of the day today on into much of New England, Massachusetts, around Westfield. We're getting reports of snow. We've been watching very closely, though, what's been happening around Boston and Hartford and New York City as well. In fact, just recently issued a snow advisory for Suffolk and Nassau counties on Long Island, as the snows will probably accumulate to 1 to 3 inches generally. So we could have some problems there perhaps. But we've been watching as the night wears on, the sunset, temperatures have continued to cool, and these areas along the coast, which earlier were all rain, eventually turned over to freezing, I should say rain and snow, and now some of these areas are becoming just snow. Still raining and snowing in Boston, just above freezing there. We're also a few degrees above freezing around New York City. It's 37, and you can see in the interior areas like Pittsburgh and Albany, also close to, if not below freezing. So temperatures, for the most part along the coast, are still above freezing, so the roads haven't been too much of a problem thus far. At least we haven't received any reports of any problems. Latest radar, very light snow as you can see here, but there are winter storm warnings for parts of eastern and western Massachusetts, north central areas of Connecticut. These regions could see anywhere from 4 to 8 inches of snowfall. Snow advisories for areas like Boston, where you'll see a couple of inches, maybe about 2 to 4 inches of snowfall. And New York City, just right now, just watching for maybe an inch or two to accumulate on the grassy areas. Closer look showing some of our heavier moisture right now just south of Boston. Some of that is snow. We've had some reports of some snow on the Folsom area, just south of Boston. And just to the north and west of Boston, right about in that area, in a place called Tewksbury, North Tewksbury. Our Jeff Morrow is still standing by, and we'll check in with him here in just a second. Snowfall forecast through tomorrow evening shows the heaviest snows, eastern sections of upstate New York on through New England to Maine. Though, notice this. See this right here? That's our next storm. We'll have a little more about that, but it looks like, and just as we're getting rid of this one storm, we're going to be dealing with another snowstorm in the Northeast. It does not want to end. In the middle of what is getting progressively to be a snowier situation is our winter weather reporter, Jeff Morrow. And Jeff, how are things there right now?
Terry, the consistency of this storm, at least so far, is very much different than some of the other ones I've covered this winter. This one, as you're starting to see here, I'm getting pasted with a lot of this very heavy wet snow. I mean, it is really sticky. Let me just bend down here and show you some of the consistency of the snow. Pick up a little bit here. Excellent snowball making snow, I might add. I don't want to give anybody any ideas, but you can make a really good Easter snowman out of this stuff. But it is sticking to everything, which could be a problem, Terry, if we do get the 4 to 8 inches that we expect, or maybe in some spots even more. If that builds up on tree limbs and power lines, it's the kind of heavy wet snow, the high water content that could weigh a lot and bring some of those power lines and tree limbs down. So something we'll have to think about. Even if the roads don't become all that bad, overnight tonight, a lot of this snow is going to start sticking on a lot of the tree limbs and stuff. So we'll have to watch that situation as well.
It almost looks like snow cone type snow to me. How are the roads doing so far? We can kind of see the traffic going behind you. Have you had any reports of salting or sanding this evening?
Actually, we have seen a couple of plows go by. Not that there is anything to plow at this point, but they're probably putting down a little bit more sand. There's a lot of sand still left over on some of these roads from previous storms, and some salt too. So the roadways are still just wet. That is Interstate 495 behind me there, kind of an outer beltway of the Boston area, if you want to think of it like that. So we're way out away from Boston itself. You know, we had a man come by here not too long ago and say that the area that we're in here around Tewksbury seems to be some of the worst of it up here in northern Massachusetts. So I guess we picked the right place to be if we wanted a heavy, wet Easter nor'easter.
I'm sure the folks in the Northeast didn't want that. Tell us about that gentleman you were talking to earlier who was reporting how much snow he's seen so far this year.
He has recorded every storm since back in November, he said, and since that time he has recorded 119 inches. I believe the town he is in is called Dracut. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. 119 inches. He only needs one more inch, and I think he's going to get it tonight to reach 10 feet of snow this winter. And he says he's real tired of it.
I'm sure he expresses the sentiments of many, and I'll bet he gets that 1 inch of snow he needs. Thanks, Jeff. We'll continue to touch base with you as we head through the evening hours. Well, as we continue to monitor this particular storm, there are two elements to it. One, the upper level low, and the other one, the surface low. And let's show you how those two are interacting. Coming up next, Mike Seidel and Jeff Morrow reporting to you on the latest in our snowstorm. Stay with us.
At Michelin, we believe a tire that's just good in the rain isn't good enough. Introducing the Michelin X1 with a 6-year, unlimited mileage tread-life warranty. It's the one tire that gives you better wet traction than any rain tire, plus control in any driving condition. After all, it hasn't rained that much in years.